Craig will die by my hand.
Play music. Music's
No.
too
That's it.
Alright, so, it was for me. So, last time on a Smet of Schlass Windchimes. Let's see. Cecil met up with Catherine. Bow. While Catherine was following a commotion down to the lower levels of the tiered gardens, Cecil, the subject that said commotion was looking for, as it was a search party, was safely hidden behind one of the walls that Catherine passed by. After sharing some brief whispers, they kind of decided to go towards Azitra for some reason, and you guys started to do that, and then one of the people that was hunting Cecil down... Did I say Virgil or Cecil?
I'm fairly sure I've been saying Cecil.
Okay, alright, just making sure. I wanted to make sure I hadn't misspoken. Cecil and Catherine, while making their way to Ozitra, had a run-in with one of the big black-robed Fire members, and they looked pretty directed This was a bit of a complicated situation, wasn't it?
It was mostly just Catherine actively trying to get Cecil killed and Cecil throwing a gem at someone who eat a gem.
Okay, so Catherine ran into the robed individual. The robed individual brought her into a small foyer, was like, Azitra's that way, points towards a big set of stairs that goes down into the darkness, towards the actual Colosseum area. She's like, okay, and then Cecil drops from the ceiling, dead ass, and is like, come before me, Catherine. Catherine was like, I don't know this man, and she turns and runs down the stairs. Later trips and falls. So the
Karma is a bitch.
The Fire person decided to attack Cecil. Cecil tried to pull a double fast one by throwing the massive emerald that he had gotten from the...
Apparently that just made them stronger.
The wreckage. That person got a hold of said emerald. This weird fusion took place, and then they started screaming incoherently and making attacks where crystals would rapidly form over the surface of their body and shoot out in these jagged but strangely geometrically pleasing shapes. Cecil fucked out a dodge, ran down the steps to go find Catherine, successfully found Catherine. They got to Ozitra, who was at the center of a big ritual looking thing with a whole bunch of different shadow creatures down in the Colosseum. And then they kind of whited out and woke up the next morning back in the room that Catherine had her makeup done in. Both of them just sitting in some nondescript wooden chairs with their wounds pretty taken care of. Cecil, your arm is fully slung up.
Yes.
This is specifically the arm that was pulled out of your shoulder socket, if you remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, the other party learned how to dance from Centra.
Very different tone.
They also, Amalia made a bunch of luchador animal masks for them. And Albus constructed the hose and piping structure that's going to provide coolant through the body of water that it's connected to the apparatus that's going to be holding the heart. The apparatus still needs to be finished, but that should just take another night or so. You guys are expecting an auditor today, and you've just finished your long rest. So
there's the fucky that happened with Virgil when he looked to see the moon.
Right, there is the fucky that happened with Virgil when he looked to see the moon. The moon is further ahead in its cycle than it should be, and it is converging with the Grand Pavos, which is a big yawning emptiness in the sky that stars are either swallowed into or pass behind. Yep.
Also, Abraxas a denizen, but you know.
And some extra bullshit with the Esherai.
Abraxi might be a denizen, and yep, and some possible extra bullshit with the Esherai.
Because everything's just happening. It's great.
It's something. So, as the song kind of tapers off, how about we start with the low energy side? You guys wake up. Amalia, Cecil,
Virgil.
Amalia, Virgil,
Yeah?
Albus, and Centra. The sun is not pervasive. It's the light that is kind of ambient throughout the jungle is a very soft light, diluted through the canopy and makes everything easily visible, but it's not harsh. Looks like Centra made salad.
What type of salad?
It's got leaves in it.
No, it's just leaves. It's just a bunch of leaves in a bowl. This is what Centra eats.
Congratulations. You have
He's
the great salad.
sitting up against one of the roots. This is probably just after he had finished teaching you to dance, Amalia. Maybe you two are like having idle chit chat about the stuff you got out of the greatsword or some such. Just to remind you all what your goals have been. Amalia, you have wanted to attempt to contact Silverblood. Your spell slot's all just refreshed, so see if there's scribing materials around. You want a teleport circle in the gardens. I think you did that, right?
Yeah. So we have. Yeah. So I'll do.
I'm sorry. When I said gardens, I meant the ship. You have a teleport circle on the ship. You do not have one in the tiered gardens.
Right. So I think just did my check in. What's the situation, Kibby?
The situation with what? Oh, right. You're talking to me. Right.
Yeah, daily check in.
Okay. Let me see.
You may want to wait till I've finished writing up what the sending actually is.
Okay.
Centra is going to idly approach you, Virgil. See, as long as you're awake. Are you awake?
By now, sure, yeah.
Great, you're awake. So I did bring this up yesterday at some point. There's a possibility that Durskritch might be working with the Tenebrai if they've established themselves here. I wouldn't really know the questions to ask, but if that's something you want to go after, we may not be in the area for much longer.
Frankly, I wanted to stay away from them for as much as possible. They sprayed me with water.
Centra nods slowly.
What I'm saying is that they are fucking crazy.
That's how it sounds.
It, takes one to know one. That's the expression. So, she's crazy.
So you would prefer to avoid getting sprayed with water rather than find out Even if it should keep you from finding out information that we've been getting set up this entire time.
Fuck. Fine.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
I suppose you're right.
Do you want me to go with you?
It would be appreciated, but at the same time, you've also been very busy. How are you holding up?
His eyebrow quirks a little bit, as if he's taken off guard, and he's like, how am I doing? I mean, he just looks a little speechless.
Well, you were dancing for an accumulative 9 hours.
It's
On a wound, my medicine could only do so much after all. So, how are you doing?
he finally understands that you weren't asking about his emotional well-being, as he kind of opens his mouth understandingly and says, "Oh, the wounds kind of, I guess I got used to them. They still hurt when I pay attention, but was that a yes and no on me accompanying you to Dirt Scratch?"
Well, since you're well enough, it would be appreciated. Furthermore, if something were to happen, I would be right there.
Well, if I'm playing bodyguard, he his hand sort of, his finger turns into the barrel of the gun that he had assimilated into his arm, and he just kind of holds it up. Let's go.
Very well.
Start making your way over to Dirt Scritch's place. Are you just casting Sending Amalia?
Yeah.
Are you gonna go with them, or are you staying put?
Sure, yeah, she'll come along. Albus is fine.
Alright, so you guys walk
Yes.
along the
Once.
the wooden pathways with the interesting little obelisks and their runes carved into them before reaching Dirt Scritch's tree. And after climbing some vines, you get up to the door that she's usually behind, and Sentra knocks on it twice, but there is no response.
She very well could be bathing.
Hmm. Or out, or about, or any sort of thing. Or maybe just your weak knocking didn't make loud enough noise.
Sentra kind of glares at you. Still nothing.
Or she's not fond of the others herself, is she? She might be in hiding.
I'll confess, I don't know much about this Dirt Scritch. At least I haven't dealt with her personally very much. If you think she has cause to avoid the fire ray, I would say that gets her off the list for Tenebrae conspirators. After all,
Well,
weren't we positing
she did mention she particularly hated any auditors coming around.
I see. Syndra looks at all the house that Dirt Scritch has grown. Well, there's someone that hates auditors. Sure doesn't seem like she tries to hide.
No need to hide when you're batshit crazy.
This place is a lot of places that they could hide in. And gives the impression that more people live here than actually do.
Well, that's only if you're unfamiliar with how what's the race called? Florian. What was it? Crap.
Something like Florum,
Yeah.
Faunum.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Citra just goes and looks it up.
Centra just fucking takes out a goddamn laptop.
Just
I've got it on
Cynthia
my
swipes
phone.
excitedly at its tombstone. Nothing happens.
I've got my my home brewery document right here. Don't worry.
I imagine him saying this in character.
Folian. Thank you.
I knew it had something to do with like foliage or
Yeah, exactly.
fauna or.
So, Folians are kind of proximal based with how they can interact with the trees here in the Sylvan District. They can't just go to an Acalia like this one and grow all of these rooms out of it and then just leave them here. If the Folian were to go to, say, the Aluk district or somewhere even more remote, gradually these rooms would all shed off like bark.
Well, if you want her out that badly, then I have an idea.
Are you going to burn it?
No. There's Chris still likes him. Virgil, you start a fire.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Well, if you had something else to draw around, I'm open to suggestions.
Well, with fire comes
Bernie stuff.
comes disparity. No.
Shut up.
If it gets out of control, we don't have a great means to put it out.
Amalia turns to the camera. Maybe you don't.
Oh, it does not come slightly.
I can just climb up and check more of the rooms.
Alright, Virgil, you take the lower rooms. I'll handle the mid tier, and you climb to the top.
So,
Sounds like the plan to me, boss.
roll survival, because you guys are trying to track a wood person.
Don't hate me. I haven't even gotten my laptop up yet.
We hate you.
I've
Sorry, what were we talking about again?
I'm gonna roll this for you, Virgil. Don't worry.
been very busy. My mom has been telling me to do stuff ever since I got in the door.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it, dude. Oh, Ooh, you crit failed. Oof. You hate to see it.
See it.
Yikes. Virgil doesn't find anything.
Not even surprised.
Okay.
You want to roll for me, Amalia?
Yeah.
Wow. Alright, so after 10 minutes, you all converge back at the same spot. Nobody has found anything. You can kind of get the sense that Sentra really didn't put his heart into it, like at all, and he still did way better than you guys.
There's the exact same sense from Virgil.
Okay. Right. In that case, I'm gonna start an investigation.
Alright, what are you investigating?
Okay. What traces would a tree person leave?
You're just gonna search her regular room?
I'm gonna search her regular room. What am I gonna look for in particular? So, describe folians for me for a second. Like,
Folians look like, they basically just look like people that are made out of like roots and branches entwined together. Like their limbs look like they're braided, and sometimes they'll have like more concrete sort of bark plating on the outside.
okay.
Their faces have a lot more of the bark plating, and it's kind of segmented in a way that they're able to emote through it, and they have glowing green lights for eyes, so they don't have biological eyes.
Okay.
Sometimes
And
they'll have like little branch horns or something.
do they have anything like flowering on them?
Sometimes.
Did Dark Scratch have anything like that? Or?
Roll history. Not that you remember. However, she did have a couple of garments hanging around that looked like they were primarily composed of flowers. Whoever just crackled popcorn into their microphone. It'd be nice if you didn't do that.
For your information, they were Tic Tacs. I'm sorry.
That's even better.
Great. So if anything were to happen to fall off that would leave something of a trail.
So, in looking through her room, you roll investigation. And the particular flowery garments that you remember hanging in here are not there. Well, one of them isn't at the very least. A few more of them are, but they were disturbed.
So she's taken one of her flower cloaks and she's left. Do I see any petals lying around?
Yes, but they're kind of everywhere. You don't see any petals lying around that it seems like it would give you any meaningful information. However, with a 26 investigation, you also notice a few missives. They look like things that came into here that Dirt Scritch had not created. Something that was either delivered to her or something somebody else gave her either recently or a while ago.
Great. Let's have a look at those.
So, you walk over. The missives are basically cordial invitation to the Fire Mass. They have what you would imagine is the Fire seal. which is sort of a profile view of a dove with like this what do you call it? Not a lei, a wreath, like a wreath around it.
Interesting. Do these have names on? Like specifically addressed to Dark Scratch?
I'm going to say that. Roll insight. So Dirt Scritch's name is specifically on this missive, and in reading through it, it also feels like this wasn't something that was mass-produced. And so basically there's two possibilities here. There's the possibility that Dirt Scritch is slightly more important than the common riffraff, and this cordial sort of invitation to the Fire Mass, something that happens allegedly once a month, so 12 times a year. It's relatively common. This is either one that Dirt Scritch is more important to and specific, and somebody is deliberately trying to get her attention, or the Fire Rays are just insane and they send letters to everybody and they're always this deliberate about things.
Well, Occam's razor. It's more likely to be the first than the second. That being said, are there any particular details on this invitation besides we want you to come?
No. There's something of a history touched upon, but there aren't any real details about it. It's like little leading questions, like remember what happened last time, or you know what I'm talking about, where you're not Dirt Scritch, so you don't remember what happened last time and you don't know what she's talking about.
All right. So, but if she was going to this event, she would take the invitation.
She would probably also wait until it's actually going to happen, which is in like another 3 days. I'm gonna kill you if you keep fucking chewing chips into the microphone.
That one was not me, actually. I don't know who that was. Wasn't me.
Alright, playing the rest of the session, looking directly at the green circles in Discord. Because they're getting the server mute, and then I'm killing their character. Instantly. No remorse.
Alright, well, in that case...
There we go.
Hi,
Basically the
Kara.
wood people, right?
Yes, the wood people. Wait.
That's from Pyre. So
That's a... Yeah. Yeah, I could see one of them looking like that. The face is a little, it's a little too human-like.
let me see
But
if I
that's a
can't
good
pull
mental
up.
image to have for somebody, or for a Folian.
Let's see.
Either way, she ain't here, and there's this open missive on the desk asking for her specific presence at the Fire Mass.
Well, it's name an adventure game. Of course, I'm taking it.
All right. So just put dirt scritch mass missive in your inventory somewhere.
Alright, now Amalia is going to turn to Virgil and turn to Centra.
Oh.
Alright, so I think we spent enough time here, but if you think it's of some value that we talk to Dirt Sketch, she has to be nearby, yeah?
I mean, are you asking me to go track her?
Not necessarily. It just she has to be near this place for the buildings. Yep.
I think I'm not too familiar with Folians, but she would be able to be away for I think up to like a week before it would start to wilt.
All right. If you think it's 100% necessary for us to talk to her, I can smoke her out. She won't like it. It's up to you.
I mean, I kind of crossed her off my suspicion for conspiring with the Tenebrae list. This is just for you guys.
Maya shrugs. Virgil, you got anything you desperately need to save the tree lady?
Virgil shakes his head rapidly from side to side.
Good.
All right.
Do either?
They had the boat. Let's go.
Where are we going?
So, from what I gathered from V, Cecil's managed to get himself caught.
He's up there?
Yeah, they think. V thinks they think he's some kind of gladiator for her.
Ah, they're going to be doing that, are they?
And what's that one? So,
So gladiator isn't exactly the right word. It's more like, sacrifice? But it's not quite as deadly as you're probably thinking. It's more a representative sacrifice, death of the ego sort of thing. However, it is kind of has a precedent for turning people into zombies. So whatever arcane part of it goes on, it's a little bit above me, but nothing gets mauled to death.
right.
You've seen shadow creatures, right?
I've seen one or two, yeah.
It's sort of to do with them. They're very intrinsically tied with the Fire's, they call it their privilege.
Alright, and what's the privilege when it's at home?
Their privilege is their ability to mold shadows into creatures.
So they have some ability to animate just the absence of light. Huh. You know,
That's not to get confused with the privileged. Like that D there, that's important, and it's not something that the Fire have. It's something that well, they're typically elected. But sometimes when someone is important enough, they can own their own. kind of like slaves in a way.
Oh, they're slavers too?
They're more like pets, I guess. It's sort of, they don't have autonomy, but at least my understanding is that they're taken care of. It's one of the big reasons the Gurdonja don't like them. The Gurdonja value autonomy above everything else.
Oh, that's a different story. Go burn your shit to the ground.
It's made of stone.
Clearly, you haven't been around fire enough. So Amalia is. What is Amalia going to do now? Alright, if we don't need dirt scratch, then. I think Cecil being kidnapped and being set up for one of these sacrifices sort of pushes our agenda up the table a bit.
Alright. So, Virgil, while this conversation is taking place, you start to feel a little woozy, and the spiral scar around your forearm starts to just slightly burn, as if you had treated it with icy hot.
Ow. Mm. Ow. Oh. Must not have done enough of a nap. With I pull up my sleeve and investigate. What the fuck?
Looks normal. Amalia,
Does
you...
the
Oh.
timer still like? Does that look different than an Eden than it does in Eden? Or
So it only looks like it's got the fuse burning down in Eden. In the real world, it just looks like a scar. Amalia,
noted?
Yep.
Virgil's forearm is like emitting a very bright light.
Virgil, what the fuck did you inject in yourself?
I haven't done anything yet. I'll have you know. Theoretically, well, yes, yeah. Theoretically, if you could, never mind.
Both of you roll insight.
Ba-dum. Pop, pop.
Red Lobster selling free biscuits.
Selling free biscuits.
Yeah, you know, for money, but it's nice.
I mean, you know, if you buy one wagon for the price of two, I'll throw in another one for free.
Can you roll insight, please? Thank you. Alright, so Virgil, you don't quite pick up on it, but Amalia, you notice pretty immediately that Virgil is not reacting, at least optically, the way he would if he was also seeing the level of light that his forearm is emitting.
Alright, Virgil, you are aware of the cascading stream of light coming out of your arm, right?
All I'm aware of is the pain, so nope. A bit like I put on some icy hot. It's not the best.
What are you looking at, Virgil? What are you doing?
He is now looking at his arm even more concerned.
I am going to have a little look into this. Don't move.
Virgil, did you look at Amalia while you were talking to her?
Yes.
As you did, she did not look like Amalia. She looked significantly shorter, like a stone humanoid figure.
Ooh.
Weird.
And it was sort of a gradual thing, like she was slowly becoming it. And around her, reality is kind of distorting, and the ground underneath you is kind of not collapsing, but slowly transmogrifying in bits and pieces to little patches of salt.
I suppose Virgil did also see a timekeeper out in the day in not Eden, so this is not entirely unprecedented.
Well,
Did
you
you
saw
bring
you saw
that
you saw the
up at any
echo
point?
of a timekeeper. You did not see a timekeeper.
The echo of it, yes, sure, fine.
Yeah, did
That's
you bring
important.
that up at any point?
I don't think he did. You've
He did not.
just to go over rules that have been established. You can't see things in Eden when you're in Jericho. You can't see things in Jericho when you're in Eden, and if you do, they are echoes. So
Well, some weird fuckery happened last session.
yeah, but it's a weird fuckery that is fundamentally sound with the rest of how things have worked so far. Either way, Amalia, Virgil's voice as he's speaking to you starts to get more and more quiet and distant and less lucid as it's getting processed through your ears until he looks like a statue.
Oh, okay, we're doing this then, are we?
What the fuck?
Yeah. Alright, this is not happening. And Amelia is gonna stand up and she's gonna try and anchor herself to reality.
You feel fine.
Yeah, but weird shit's happening, so she's gonna cast it and then see what's happening.
Cast what?
Arcana.
So, is this magical? Absolutely. Is it coming from Virgil's forearm? Absolutely. It is
Great.
like a very bright beacon.
Let's try and get some specifics of it then. Does this bear any resemblance at all to the light that came out of the surge?
Roll history.
Beyond them just being lights.
Instead of taking a bunch of distinct questions, I'm gonna have you cast your mind into your memory to see if anything about this light would come up as familiar. Let's see. Yes, it gives you a feeling, but it's not a feeling that light has given you before. However, it is a feeling you've had. It gives you the same feeling you felt when you were moving between the cloud slate city in Eden and the sewers and the wreckage, the first and the second areas. While you were in transit between those two, you had this same feeling. And also, when you were way out far deep in the void, just sitting on a gear, and you hadn't delved like into the actual like Antikythera itself. So you've been given this feeling when you're in like quote unquote not purgatory but like
Limbo.
in between space. Yeah, limbo. Thanks, Fergus.
Okay. Alright. And this is all happening to Virgil. Great. So, Amal, Sandra's still there, yeah?
Yeah, Sentra's deferring.
Is he reacting to any of this going on?
He looks like he's probably having his own thoughts, and he's not ignorant, if that's what you're asking. But he's quiet.
Does he see, like...
Yeah, it looks like he's calculating something on his own.
Alright, so this is clearly something shady going on with the to the words. So Molly is gonna say, I'm gonna try and follow up on this and see what the hell's going on.
What do you mean?
Do you not see Virgil like becoming a statue? That not happening from
No,
your
yes,
point of view?
I do. And his forearm was like a shot. I saw.
Yeah. So as far as I can tell, it's got something to do with our place. So in order to sort it, I may
All
have
right.
to go
So
there.
so you say that, and it looks like he gets a little bit of an epiphany, and then he screams and doubles over in pain, just clamping his hands over his head.
Oh come on! I didn't even say the name.
You got him thinking about it. How good or bad?
That is great.
Look at that. All right. So Virgil, you are so gradually the small room of dirt scritches that you were inside opens itself up like a box, and the outside of dirt scritch's room is not what it opens into. You are now standing on top of on the surface of some salt flats that go for hundreds of miles in every direction. And on the horizon, there are these impossibly monstrous black mountains just reaching into the sky, almost so high that it feels like they're arching up over you without quite blocking the sky out entirely. They look scarred and burnt with no trees or life of any kind on them. The sky itself is a swirling cacophony of purples, pinks, greens, yellows, and golds.
Cacophony.
Shut the fuck up. It's this fluctuating tie-dye nebula.
I've heard it both ways.
That's because both ways are valid. And Fergus is a stinky little stinker.
No.
Hey,
I didn't think you were allowed to pull me into Eden without my permission, boss man.
hey Fergus.
Meh.
Chitin.
Ugh.
Chitinous.
Uh.
Did
You're
you,
hurting me.
did you know that bugs have chitinous exoskeletons?
I am reaching through the screen to punch you, Eric.
Chitin. Chitin
Punch!
Fergus. Cacophony. Cacophony Fergus.
I'm about to have chittens over this.
Anyways, you get no response, Virgil.
Of course not.
However, you do. Some motion draws your eye to your right, and as you turn to look at it, you kind of see down like you're on a bit of a hill in these salt flats, right? The crest of of a hill, and down its slope, you see some massive stone protrusions, like the joints of fingers sticking up and out from beneath the salts. The motion was of these several large robed, kind of snake-like things, like you know what a lamia is, right?
Yes, I'm aware of the.
If you couldn't see like the torso, if it was just wearing these thick robes with a big layered hood over it, that's what it looks like. You can see like the coiling long tails stretching out like 30-40 feet behind them, and on their backs and in their arms, almost as if like they were people that had to grab all of their stuff and flee a burning building. They're just carrying all these living stone figures to swirling spiral amphitheaters that are sitting jarringly diagonal up through the salt flats. Some of the amphitheaters have the majority of their bulk buried out of sight, but the majority of them, down the slope of this hill, break entirely through the surface, and are the remnants of some kind of civilization. This doesn't look like the frozen lake. It doesn't look like anywhere you've ever seen before.
Well, this isn't fucking great. Am I asleep? Is this Eden? Wait. What's the fucking... Thinking about something that you see and getting its name. That's how we know if we're in Eden or not. He thinks about this place. See if anything comes to his mind. Any sort of name.
Nope, nothing.
Okay, so this isn't Eden. This is something else entirely. Fuck. Ah, shit. Fuck. And he's gonna start walking towards the amphitheaters, I guess.
Great. I guess we're just dead.
I guess so.
So as you get closer to the closest amphitheater, you see several of the robed Lamia just kind of lounging on the outside, almost rolling around over the salt flats like cats, like on carpet. And they're just kind of idle and playful, and occasionally two of them will interact with each other. But in the amphitheater itself, the stone figures that the Lamia were carrying towards them, they're inside, and some of them are dancing and swaying, and others are carving and drawing and painting on the stone. That some of them have climbed halfway up walls and are attempting to put finishing touches on great murals, where if you try to focus on any singular point in the mural, it just ceases to make any sense at all. And
A whole civilization here.
a couple of them notice you, and one points, and then looks like it has a brief exchange with the one next to it, and the one that had not pointed slowly makes their way over.
All right, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, but I don't know what else here. He offers a wave.
They get within 5 feet, and they kind of pointedly look at your wave and then back at you, and looks like they try to mimic the motion. Some kind of
Hello.
greeting?
Oh, thank God. Yes.
Thank God. What a funny thing to say.
Thank him, curse him. I don't even fucking care. I'm glad you can speak. God, oh. Okay. Where am I?
That's a good question. They sort of recline back on a heel and look contemplative. We're trying to figure out what you are, because if my suspicion's correct, then you shouldn't be here.
I don't think I should be here either.
Lucky for you.
I was minding my own business, talking to my...
Yeah, shut up. Lucky for you, we're good with language, so I'm sure we'll be able to figure this out. Welcome to Stesia. They do a gesture where kind of involves both of their hands, where it almost looks like some kind of prayer, but to your best guess, it comes off as their own kind of greeting.
Can I mimic that?
Sure. Roll performance.
Cool. Never easy around you, is it?
Yeah, looks like you give it your best go, and it's at the very least not bad enough where they're gonna bring it up as a talking point. This is well, this is one small section of the Vastend Empire.
That sounds like a history roll to me, right?
No, because you can't get it.
Okay.
I'm assuming that you are either a dragonborn or or a time traveler. Or you
That's
know
not...
wait. Do you know one of our paragons?
Well, if you want the complete and honest truth, no, I don't even know the name of the empire. It doesn't ring a bell to me whatsoever.
I
Unfortunately.
didn't expect it to. We're kind of all encompassing at this point, and this is slightly the climax of our civilizationary progress.
Fascinating. Very fascinating. As for what I am a Palteran.
Oh, a Palteran.
A Palteran. Feline specific.
Is that's got to do with Okay, things are making less sense. You're not a dragonborn?
I'm not a dragonborn, no.
Dorman said he was gonna make his image. How do you feel about this, I guess? And they sort of magic up some images in the air in front of you, and one of them looks like a very large centipede. It's sort of drawn in a way that grants you knowledge of the scale of it. Like, we'll say it's coiled around one of the huge mountains in the distance.
Goodness. That is certainly a big centipede.
Well, doesn't look like familiarity, so there's that theory.
Again, I was minding my own business. Next thing I know, here I am. I literally whited out in the middle of talking.
And you're sure you don't know one of our paragons?
I don't suppose you would happen to know of a giant ice golem?
I don't know what shape they're going to take yet.
Hmm.
Do you know about the monarchs?
I know of some monarchs, but likely not the same one. You did mention, after all, after the Dragonborn, that time traveler was an option, and I could have been thrown into it against my will, perhaps.
Eric, I hate that you pulled Virgil back and not Amalia.
Sorry. Would you like to phone a friend, Virgil?
Don't think it would work. Call me crazy, but
I'm gonna voop back to Centra and Amalia for just long enough to if you want to cast sending on Virgil, you can try.
Yeah, sure.
All right, we will pick up with you, Virgil, as soon as the message gets typed out, because I guess that's where it would come through, if it's going to come through. Looks shiftily from side to side. Spoiler alert, it's gonna work.
intense typing sound effects.
The scene in Summer Wars backed by the rock orchestra.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 20. That's 25.
Huh. Okay.
You said something about time travel, and then you cut off there. You okay?
Apologies. Magic bullshit happening. What did you say this Empire's fragment was called again?
This fragment is called Stressia, but we're not important here. Vastend is the only thing that's important.
I see. And forgive the lack of tact, but what would I be calling you? Your people that I'm seeing around? Like how I'm a Palterin? He wiggles his ears.
So, this is conveyed pretty aptly, and it's the ensuing confusion on the stone figure's face as they regard your question seems to be more of a difference in fundamental terminology, as they think to themselves for a second before saying, "Interesting. You classify yourself in more ways than we do. I am just a Vestindian. Vastend is sort of what all of us are, with no real extrapolation on that further, other than some of us choose to take names."
What would yours be if you've chosen to take one?
I haven't.
Perhaps one day something may come to you, or it may not. You may give yourself to your nation entirely.
They look up, like sort of diagonally up, and they look in the sky and they say, "No, I don't have any time to get there." Like I said,
And why would you say that?
this is a little bit of the climax of our everything we worked towards.
Is the giant centipede gonna come crashing out of that mountain?
No.
No, the centipede. What? So, that imagery has to do specifically with Haldorman. And I figured if you were connected to him, that was what would have made you Dragonborn. He's said that him and his siblings are going to be working on creating a people between them, but we haven't seen the fruits of that. It's been a good many years since we've even spoken to him, so I was hoping, at the very least, that you were some kind of emissary, even if that doesn't seem to be the case.
Can you... What was that name again? For the... Whatever they called it? Whatever the giant centipede's name was?
Haldorman?
Haldorman.
Here, I'll put it in writing. And a bunch of sigils appear above your head before they sort of rewrite into the language you know.
Thank you. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
I imagine Virgil doing this and just counting.
Great. Okay.
All right,
so
all right, all right. Hold up.
I tried my best, okay?
It's okay.
All right. So you get the following back.
It's not possible to send images through sending, is it?
Not unless you cast it for 40 times.
Just sending.
All right. So yeah, I guess I'll see if I can discern anything from his ramblings. So that would be the history, yeah.
Sure.
Because well, most of that might not be of any use. I'm fairly sure at least one thing in there is of use.
Let's make that DC. How many books has Amalia read?
We're gonna find out today.
I'm gonna re-roll that.
That's a good idea. Yeah, gibberish, what's that? Gibberish, Haldorman, gibberish, please help. So,
Alright, Gonna
something,
search that.
something to do with the plague dragon that was taken out a couple of decades ago that was just entirely destroying this entire region of the world. Anyways, so Virgil.
Well, that a lot of help that was.
What's
Hey.
going on?
Hey, maybe you should pick up magic for a change.
Well, the climax of the civilization, that does really, really worry me.
No, wait. Hang on. Eric,
What's up?
I would like to knock myself the fuck out.
You would like to what?
I would like to knock myself the fuck out.
Alright, roll an unarmed attack. Now roll a Constitution saving throw.
Doesn't this count as PvP technically?
Would you like to search the attack roll?
I would like to purposely fail a Constitution save.
That works. So, I'll get to that in a second. Virgil, you are still talking to this thing. They look like they're waiting for questions from you. So they're having a dandy old time describing their existence, at the very least. Amalia, you wake up on top of the same cold brass that you guys were situated upon, overlooking the big interior chamber of Antikythera, the one where it shows you basically the interior of the binding coil of Bahamut, except instead of Bahamut, it's a big, horrible, multi-limbed humanoid octopus thing.
Excellent. So I'd like to cast Sending.
Okay. Oh, you have broken my system. Congratulations. And I guess there's precedent for it now, too.
I mean, you're the one that said as long as we could pass out.
So, since you have functionally infinite spell slots to cast Sending with, no, I'm not gonna let you just talk to him.
You have to cast it every time.
Yeah, you still have to do it the hard way.
Wait, you can send images now.
Technically, it would take a while because she'd have to keep knocking herself out, sending like a
Yes.
couple of pixels, then waking back up, knocking herself out, sending a
It has
couple of
to-
pixels.
It has to buffer for a long time.
The plague dragon?
So you just weren't talking for, or how immediately do you say this?
Like, he was thinking of so many different questions to possibly ask. Admittedly, more of them about their anatomy than anything about the culture, because, you know, Virgil. And then suddenly that all pops into his head, and he just goes, Plague dragon in the past, what? What? This is a problem.
So when you say plague dragon, the stone figure's like, can you repeat that?
I've been told by the great beyond that
Just repeat that phrase.
plague dragon.
And as you do, it looks like the stone figure does some kind of magic to, as you're saying the word, like, you know in cartoons when words are being said
Doing the fucking Tom Marvolo riddle thing.
and the text comes out of their mouth, that's what he's doing, except it's with incoherent symbols that you don't recognize. And it looks like they rearrange a bunch of it and then take a segment
Knew it.
out. And then they bring up the symbols that had been up for Dragonborn. And they're like, okay, so what I'm getting at is that for some reason you know Hal Dorman as a plague dragon. Don't know what the plague part is about, but the dragon part is in relation to what we've been told are his aspirations for a race that he's going to be creating. Is this what you call him? And he's gesturing to the word dragon. They're gesturing to the word dragon.
Half of what we call them, yes.
And then this part, and he brings plague back in. What's this?
Plague, it's basically how to put this? Do you know what a virus is? When you get sick, it's getting sick for the whole land. It's it's not good.
All right. So it's like, it's like a scourge.
Oh, yes, a scourge. Scourge is a very good word for it. People call me a scourge, but that's because they don't like me. They just don't appreciate my mind, it's fine.
Interesting.
Or lack thereof.
So, this thing that represents a sickness of the land is attributed to the word you use for what Haldorman is.
Correct.
That's a strange correlation. Haldorman is...
What worries me is that you said that this was the climax of your civilization. Climax
Yeah,
usually meaning the tip. So
Yeah, do you wanna answer Amalia at some point? Otherwise, she's just gonna keep casting sanding until you respond.
So they kind of ignore your rambling, Virgil, and they go, yeah, but back to Haldorman. Are you aware of what he is?
all I know is that he's called the Plate Dragon.
What's he responsible for?
I know that he was. There might be very well be credence to the time traveler theory, because according to my sources, he is dead, killed by adventurers, perhaps.
The stone figure looks incredulous at this. I see. This has been a misunderstanding. I'm sorry. My Haldorman can't possibly be your Haldorman. Yours is likely some kind of
Imposter, perhaps.
No, not an imposter. Nothing so malignant as that. Likely an heir or a scion. Perhaps Haldorman became more of a title in your time. Nothing could ever kill our Haldorman. Not even the monarchs.
I see. And I'm going to take a wild guess and say, no, never mind. But, say we entertain the theory of him being sealed away.
Haldorman?
Yes.
Okay.
That would certainly bring a question mark into it. You're not killed, but you're functionally not living if you're sealed away, correct?
I suppose.
How much nuance do you give this ending spell? Because she's not saying killed, questionably killed. She's like definitely killed, not sure which adventurers did it.
Okay, well I read killed by adventurers question mark? So like she wasn't certain of it?
No, that's fine. I like it's
Sure,
so
that's
you know
more-
Haldorman was killed. You get the intent behind the message, but it wouldn't have changed the tone of the conversation up to this point. So you have to understand here, our Haldorman is the real thing.
Of course. Hmm. So, are you preparing a rite to summon Haldorman? A feast, a festival, a sacrifice?
Well, all of those sound a little.
Morbid?
No. If we were going to make revelry, it would have been earlier. We're making the final preparations for our paragons.
Does the name Syndrax ring a bell?
Is that good or bad?
I gotta go with my usual of high being bad. We had a 92. Come on. Not too
Alright.
much high.
So,
We all hate Syndrax.
let's think.
All my homies hate Syndrax.
That one is also familiar, but less affiliated.
I see.
There are some more stone figures starting to approach.
1 second. I'm back.
So a couple more stone figures are starting to approach. One of them's larger, the other one looks about the same size as the one you're talking to.
Do I know who? Does Amalia know who apart from the Mickey door?
Yeah, probably. They're more familiar than Syndrax, Falskreer, and Haldorman are.
Thank you.
You there, Karo?
Yeah, I'm thinking about what to say.
Okay.
Is Amalia beaming more information into Virgil's skull across time and space?
Yeah, did you see the message she just sent?
No.
Check if they know what Parthern and Megiddo are. Respond quickly, otherwise talking through you very inefficient.
Do you know about a Parthern or a Mickey?
Parthern is one of the monarchs. Don't know a Mickey.
He responds back to Amalia that Parthern is one of the monarchs. What the fuck is a monarch?
Virgil's got a wire. Amalia is the FBI.
I knew
Ask them about the cocaine.
What do you know about my cocaine?
For all we know, Virgil uses it as toothpaste.
So the larger
He
one
might.
gets close enough to speak to you, and it asks, "What do you know of Parthern?"
Would I be able to roll history and know anything about Parthern?
Probably not.
Okay, so I asked for Amalia to give me more information about that.
So what do you say to the dude? It looks like he's they're not gonna idly wait for 45 seconds.
Right.
So do you say anything immediately, or are you just going to remain silent?
I do not know much myself. However, my friend is contacting me. Don't fucking know how. Don't ask me. I don't fucking know nothing. And
Say that again.
my friend is contacting me?
And for the words "my friend," they pull them out of your mouth again, and they kind of cross-analyze them with some more symbols. All three of them kind of move off and look like they're discussing what "my friend" could mean to them, and it takes them a good while. After 3 or 4 minutes, they finally like cross-reference it with a set of symbols for them, and then they all nod in agreement and come back to you. Puda
Adorable.
Amalia calls your mom a bitch. Dragons that wiped civilization clean every 500 years, also dead in the now. You might be boned, amigo.
They're saying that Syndrax caused the civilization clean every 500 years. You're saying this is the climax of your civilization and is waiting for this.
Syndrax
Are we
doesn't-
going to die?
Are you... Syndrax is the... You're talking about Parthern. Did you mess them up in
Look.
character or out of character?
Yes.
In character?
Yep.
Okay, so they're like, Syndrax doesn't end civilizations.
Is it the other one then? The Parther?
The monarchs do. Sure, but the
monarchs.
Haldorman and his siblings, they don't, as far as we know.
Is there usually some sort of fighting going on between Haldorman and the monarchs?
Haldorman is what we call the knower of secrets. We call him this in part because he's able to escape the monarchs. The monarchs, they dislike what is unclean, and cleanliness to them is what we are. The Vestend is unclean.
I see. Virgil is going to relay that back because that sounded about like 25 words, yeah.
Actually,
There.
the three of them kind of back off again and once again share a little 3-man committee before coming back to you. And the one that initially talked to you is the one that speaks up. They say, "Actually, after having given some more thought to it, I think it slightly makes sense that your Haldorman would be called the Plague. After all, seeing as how Haldorman, the knower of secrets, is what has given us the information that we have on what we're doing," and they gesture back to like the big spiral amphitheaters that the rest of the stone people are inside doing things in. If we are unclean, then in a way, Haldorman is spreading a plague, albeit one that is going to be wiped clean. As for are we going to die? I believe we may have only 2 years left.
Megiddo? What's Megiddo?
Megiddo. You get the message as if it was Amalia talking into your head. It's not text.
Megiddo? Is that really how you're supposed to say it?
I believe so.
Correct.
Huh. Well, learn something new every day. Well, they say that Parthern and Megiddo are also dead.
One of them cocks their head, and then the larger one says, "Can you say that again?"
Parthern and Megiddo? Megiddo?
No.
Megiddo?
The other part.
Parthern?
No,
They're
afterwards.
dead.
Thank you. They pull that out of your mouth. They do the little 3-man committee. Then they call over like
Cease to exist. Wiped clean.
Then they call over like 5 more people. And they're all just analyzing this. Just cross-referencing it with a bunch of other sigils and visible runes and finally the one that had initially spoken to you comes back and says, they give a little bit of a look over their shoulder and then back to you, and then they walk away and rejoin the little committee, but they're like glancing at you from over their shoulder.
I'm starting to believe in the time travel theory.
Roll insight.
Okay. Let's see how well that goes.
You feel every single ounce of the friendliness that accompanied their first approach has vanished.
Mm-hmm. That's about what I thought.
Are you doing anything?
Do they look like they're going back to whatever they were doing and shunning him, or are they just in this committee?
They're kind of shunning him. You're a good 10-15 feet away. And they are swapping notes or discussing something.
Well, I guess I will poke more around the wasteland? Question mark.
Alright, so you just kind of turn around and walk in a direction.
No. More into theirs. More into the amphitheaters. You're fucking up causality. What you're doing, massive temporal faux pas, and I'm just feeding you.
So as you start moving closer to the amphitheaters, the one of the stone people that you haven't spoken to, one of the 5 that had joined the 3, breaks off and gets in your way.
I'm guessing I'm not exactly going to be allowed to poke around.
No response. You start hearing a lot of loud crunching to your left.
I glance towards the left.
Alright, as you glance towards the left. Uh-oh, spaghetti. As you glance towards the left, the stone people that were in the little committee are no longer individual people. They are conglomerating into a giant scorpion / hand monster made of rock. All the heads of the people that make up this hand scorpion rock monster are still distinct, and they start chanting in ominous but different tones, and it's very grating on your ears. That said, we're going to Cecil and Catherine.
What the fuck?
Well, that certainly is a thing.
Yeah. So now that they have time to like exist without being, without oversight, Cecil looks over at Catherine and kind of like sighs, looks around, and just like starts to laugh a little bit before looking just like, honestly, I wasn't expecting to see you. It's kind of nice to see someone that you know.
Still haven't. You really mess things up, you know?
Well, I mean, we could have gone through this a bit smoother. Yes, I can see this. However, I would not consider this to be my fault.
Well, I did tell you to stay back.
I was under the impression that, this was more hostile than, not. I didn't know that you two were, friends? I thought she was more like keeping you as a pet. You two seem to be
Well,
fine
I mean,
together.
she is, but while I'm here, I'm trying to find out where Roderick is.
Oh. Well, I'm certain that we'll be able to figure something out. We're smart people. There's a... Fine. I apologize for getting in your way. It was a level of concern rather than an attempt to actively muck everything up.
Alright, as long as you don't do it again. Now, what are we going to do?
Well, not that I like our chances of being able to do it again. I think... what can we do with our own agency? Maybe we should just play along for now. I've got no idea. I'm tired.
You good at fighting?
I mean, yes. Why?
Because that's what they want you to do.
Okay. Well, I suppose. I don't
And
see
they said
why...
they're gonna put you up against someone difficult.
Yes, no, I was there. The difficult bracket, she said.
Yeah.
Specifically. That woman gives me conniptions. I'm not a fan.
No, I don't like her either, but, you know.
But you know, there's a certain air of... Oh god, what should I say? Matronly affection that makes me sick, honestly.
Towards me?
No, not you. Well, yes, towards you. But just in general. Have you seen the way she looks at you? It's... Ugh.
Yeah, she's a real creep.
Yeah.
I belatedly, look around, make sure nobody's listening.
You hear some footsteps approaching the doorway that leads into this room.
Okay, I go, shh, someone's coming.
Well, I mean, they should expect us not to be particularly happy. Hello?
A head sticks into the room. One wearing a mask. Looks towards
Hi?
Catherine and says, "Your greenhouse is ready."
Ooh. Great! Clap my hands. By the way, what should I do with my, privileged here? While I'm in the greenhouse.
I can take them.
Oh, could you take him back to where the other privileged are?
It nods.
Oh, great, because he happens to have something that that my other one needs, so it would be great if he could go help him out.
Great.
Off you go then.
She comes into the room. It comes into the room. This one looks like a much less menacing Azitra. Slightly taller, but you can tell that the posture that they're holding is more of an act, doesn't come as naturally.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably more slumped over when they know nobody's watching. They
Alright.
just kind of like grab you from underneath the arm and pull you up out of the chair. Cecil.
Can Palturans bark?
Yeah, you can bark.
Alright. As soon as like this person makes contact with Cecil, Cecil starts to like bark at them like aggressively and gets up by himself.
Okay.
They react in like the way that like a 14-year-old virgin dog sitter would react to going to get a bulldog that they assumed was friendly but turned out to not be. So she's probably 6 or 7 feet away from you and cringing a little bit.
All right, I stand up, put my hands up, and say, "Calm down. She's just taking you to Roderick.
Yes, I know.
So you go do your thing with him, and then I'll catch up with you guys later."
Cecil looks over to this person and is like, kind of his facial expression
And I
softens a
wink
little
at him.
bit. He waves back to Catherine as she leaves, but is like, "Don't touch me, please."
Do you have a condition?
No, I just don't like it.
Proceed.
Do you?
No.
No? I'm glad that we have some sort of commonality. Now let's get going.
So she doesn't touch you. She gets closer, and she kind of just looks a couple times at Catherine. Roll insight.
Me?
Either of you.
I'll roll. Can we both roll?
Sure.
22.
So she's going to respect the "don't touch me" request, but looks like she's expecting payment for it.
All right. Cecil gives her the weird coin
So you.
from Sylvia's spot. Just takes it out of his pocket and just like hands
So
it to her.
21 insight or 22 insight. She's expecting payment from Catherine.
That's
Okay.
epic.
Well, what do I have here? I have various.
Cecil. Oh wait, no, go ahead.
I have sunflower seeds. I have various vials of alchemical stuff.
Are you just saying this out loud?
No, I'm looking through my inventory right now. Inventory, whatever.
Chitin.
Okay, I give her a moss bulb. I mean a frost bulb.
She looks at the frost bulb. Roll persuasion.
What?
Is this a joke?
Ah, yes. Just kidding. And I give her a gold piece.
And she scratches her head and says, forgive me, I don't really get it, but in your, she takes a step back and kind of gives you a little bit of a bow, Catherine. In your culture where jokes serve as currency, I don't wish to disrespect. Thank you for, she kind of stammers a bit. Thank you for the joke.
Anytime, my friend, anytime. Did
And
she
then-
take the gold piece or not?
Yeah, she takes both of them. She goes to reach out for you again, Cecil, before getting within a couple inches and remembering and being like, "Oh, right, let's go." And then she kind of ushers you in front of her.
Sure. He steps in front and doesn't really know where to go, but he just starts to walk. Just starts going.
So when you get in front of her, she sticks her arm out like over your shoulder, so you have a finger pointing in the direction you need to be going.
Oh, great.
So she's doing this really weird visual steering.
Yeah. All good. So Cecil's like, as they're walking, is like, so what do you do around here?
And they look at you, like slightly concerned, and then a little uncomfortable, and then they don't respond, and then they continue looking forward.
I see. Not one for talking? Alright.
You can tell that like her hand's shaking a little bit, like you're really unnerving her.
Cecil, like, kind of stops and, like, turns around.
So you stop, and they kind of stumble into you, and then
Yeah, that's okay.
immediately just go 4 or 5 feet back as they're expecting to
Cecil,
start
like-
barking again.
Turns around and, like, well, can I roll perception? I don't wanna freak her out. Like, this, I feel bad about this.
Sure.
What specifically is unnerving her?
Roll insight.
Oh, okay. Sure.
That would be an insight, not a perception check.
You're right.
What's unnerving? What's unnerving this poor person? Can you tell? Your best guess is they're probably still scared of your barking outburst.
Oh, right. Yeah. I'm not gonna do that again. So you know.
And then all of a sudden you realize that it's probably not the last vestiges of their fear from your barking outburst, as when you're trying to explain it, they are fiercely making an effort not to make eye contact or acknowledge the fact that you're speaking to them at all.
Is this? Oh, right. Yeah. Is this a culture thing? All right. Kind of just nods and turns around. He's not gonna start a race war.
So after
He's
like
just-
45 seconds to a minute, they kind of build their confidence back up to getting back into position and steering you with their finger that is pointing over your shoulder. And soon enough, after walking about the tiered gardens, you ascend a single level and then kind of take a couple more turns before you basically get led to a black square in the ground that leads down into some kind of abyss with a ladder next to it. And they pick up the ladder and they feed it down the hole and then kind of gesture you towards it.
What?
There you go. Get in.
Wait, does she say that?
Yes.
What's down there?
That's where the rest of the privileged are.
Down there?
They're starting to get uncomfortable again.
Is it clean?
Please go.
Well, I mean, I feel as though you should at least answer a couple of these. I mean, I feel I'm not trying to upset you. It's just that, I mean, what the fuck?
That's where you go.
Okay, but I mean, it shouldn't be hard. You should know what's it like down there.
I've never been. It's not for me. It's for you.
Oh, well, your generosity astounds me. And he, like, stifles a snarl before heading down.
Alright, as you start down the ladder, the light above is slowly closed off as a stone slab is slid over the opening. And you're now in complete darkness, except curled in the far corner is Roderick. He's kind of resting with his back up against a wall. His legs are crossed, and he's playing with something in his hands. Smells like wood.
Cecil walks over. Hi.
Hello?
Hi. Oh, wait, no, you can't see. Hi, it's Cecil from your friend's friend acquaintance.
God, I knew that voice was familiar.
Hi.
How are things up there?
Interesting. Very interesting. I'm,
Were you
concerned.
were you at the ship when we got ransacked?
No, I wasn't. I was busy.
I see.
Do you want an orange?
I would love an orange.
Okay. Yeah. And he, like, he shuffles around his, like, weird semi-rucksack, semi, like, weird sewn-on, like, how to describe it? Imagine, like, corduroy pants, but with, like, backpacks sewn to them slightly on the sides.
Alright.
Takes off. He takes out an orange, rolls it over to Roderick, because he's still far away, and he's, like, looking around. He's like, have you been here the whole time?
No, I've gotten taken out a couple of times, but
To do what, specifically?
to look at other people that I think are like me, except they're usually Folians.
Oh, okay.
They seem to have the same cultural standing as I do, anyways.
Yeah, I've noticed that a little bit, with the whole being treated like animal monkeys. That's okay. That's alright. It's just a culture thing.
Yeah, just a culture thing. He kind of discards some of the peels and starts munching at the slices.
Cecil leans over and puts a hand on Roderick's shoulder, and is like, Roderick, this has never happened to me before.
What?
Well, this, being
Put
in
in
a
a
se-
hole?
in a yeah.
Me too. Firsts all
Frankly-
around.
Frankly, it's making me a little bit nervous. I'm not exactly sure what I should be doing right now. Usually, there's a plan for this sort of thing, or
I have
someone to back me up, but fuck.
plan for what? What game are we fighting against here? We're not exactly on an even playing field.
No, but, well, we can make an inevitable daring escape and save the day in some regard. That usually almost always happens.
Listen,
Simply.
I'm not being a pessimist. I'm just saying that the ship we came in on is completely leveled, and I do not think... He sighs. I do not think silver blood has the same usefulness to these people that I do.
Yes, I'm aware. The problem being is that, I believe we're going to have to, have some sort of gladiatorial battle? From what I've seen, there's a big old coliseum.
That's what I thought for a while, but there
good,
seems
yeah.
to be a little more nuance to it.
Oh, good.
It's, weirdly enough, not our lives that are on the line, as would normally be the case for a gladiator, right?
Okay. No, I actually don't know. I've just heard other people say gladiator, and I'm assuming that that's what that is.
It's a kind of blood sport.
Yeah, I figured. I just didn't know the semantics.
So what I've garnered is that that sort of thing wouldn't be exciting to these people, because we don't have any inherent worth to them. So if we die, you know, it's not even really thick on symbology. It would be a very base sport.
Yeah.
So we're not what gets killed.
Okay. What does?
We are privileged because we get to keep our lives. I believe, should we fail her, Catherine's going to be the one that is dead.
Oh. 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 Okay.
Now you have to decide whether you're happy or sad about this.
Well, there's ups and downs to this. I, knowing your relationship, will try my best to not get her killed. If I indeed find. I honestly would have hoped to become better friends with her before, I have to fight for specifically her life. However, you know what? This is a bonding experience. Absolutely a bonding experience.
You see him kind of narrow his eyes at you. What are you
What?
talking about?
I'm finding. Listen, Roger. We have not met. We do not know much about each other. Something you should know very early and very early on is that I am a normal person. I am scared like a normal person right now, but I find the silver lining in things, and that's what keeps me afloat.
Roderick kind of slowly smiles and he says, "Oh yes, yes, you're the normal person. I'd forgotten."
Okay, explain to me why you're giving me that smug look.
Well, I've been sitting in a hole by myself for a little longer than a day now, doing what I can to keep adequate knowledge of my current situation, knowledge that will be useful to me when the time comes where I'm enabled to act on it.
Yeah?
And it seems that you have a much harder time uh, improvising to your environment.
Yes, because this doesn't happen to me. I'd imagine this happens to you more often than not, but this is the first time I've actually needed to have this level of improvisation. As you can see, I'm not faring particularly well.
Alright, well, if only to sit on my own conscience, then how about when the time comes for you to save poor dear Catherine's life, one whom you haven't had the benefit of befriending yet? How about you sit back and let me handle it? You know, if you're gonna be useless, then be useless and sit on your hands and figure out how to improvise. Do that for me, Cecil.
Hmm. The thing is that as far as I can tell, if it were to come specifically to blows, if this is a gladiatorial battle where I fight someone in a bracket, and if I fail, Catherine dies, and if I succeed, we go on to the next thing, I. Not that I don't assume that you would do fine. However, I'm willing to put my bet on me, so I will have to force myself to figure this out.
For the first half there, I thought you were being patronizing.
No, not at all. I think that for the best chance of Catherine's survival, I think that it should specifically be me.
He kind of like lowers his head slightly, almost in disbelief. And he just doesn't respond. He does give you like half of the uneaten orange back though.
Thanks. Well, we're stuck in this pit for God knows how long. Do you want to talk through this? I feel as though I'm being, cold-shouldered as it is.
I think that small talk is probably the only thing we can get away with how easily they could be listening to us. And given that fact, I'm not really comfortable talking about anything else.
Okay.
How about
Tell me
this?
then.
I'll
Oh.
I'll just start talking about things that are also foreign, and hopefully that'll help your ability to reconcile with a current dilemma. And so
Sure.
he's gonna run you through a bunch of shit that he has to deal with in Canaan, and he's talking to you about like the um what do you call it? The
I got you. He explains hentai. I understand.
No, he's explaining like boring things,
Oh.
so that you're not like roused and excited. It's kind of he's grounding you by describing his 9 to 5 job.
Oh.
Monotony was the word I was looking for.
Yes.
He kind of drones on as if he was commentating a speed run.
And as it continues, Cecil's like, "All right, I get it. I understand. This is just something that happens."
We get to be bored until we're needed.
Well, that's not entirely true.
It's true for
There's
me.
things we could do in here.
You're right, we could play tic-tac-toe, except wait, I can't fucking see, Cecil.
Well, that could be fixed.
Oh, right. I need to be fixed because I'm not a Palturin like you. I don't get to see in the dark.
What? No, I meant that I could, like, try and start a fire. Like, so you can see. I feel as though vision, I mean, it's kind of nice to have.
So you have like very little of your actual inventory with you.
What specifically?
I want to say you have Death in the West because they weren't going to touch that. And you have your clothes. But anything that you would be keeping in like your... Wait, your corduroy the thing you were describing earlier, was that your
Yeah.
pants or was that...
That was pants. That was
okay,
pants.
okay, then you have most of your stuff. Never mind.
Yeah. Since it's not kept in his coat actually doesn't have any pockets. Anyways, so Cecil kind of like takes a step back, and Roderick can hear like the ripping of fabric a little bit of, as not maybe 4 or 5 seconds pass before a couple of like there's this kind of like knife sound on stone, like really like grating sound for a second before he starts to see sparks and kindling made out of pants, as Cecil is now wearing like those like quarter 3/4 length trousers.
Capris.
Capris, thank you.
He's wearing capris.
Cargo capris, to be exact.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, that's a pretty horrifying image in general. Simply because of their capris.
Hold up, I need to look this up to make sure that I'm not being shit on. Capris.
Pretty.
Pants. But yeah, there's a fire now. Roger can look at the... Yeah. No, capris look sweet. What are you talking
So
about?
this fire is gonna last for probably about 5 minutes at best.
Yeah, it's enough to play a game of tic-tac-toe.
No. As soon as you get the light up, he immediately moves you over to the floor and wordlessly notifies you of the location of a grate, and then kind of points out some different areas around the grate where it had been manipulated with. He's basically trying to pantomime at you. Roll insight.
Okay. 9.
He's doing a pretty good job. Basically, you get the picture that he has done something else other than sit down here, and it has to do with this grate. It's possible that he was taken through it. It's possible that people came up through it. Something like that.
Alright. So, Cecil, assisted by the new 5-minute light, walks over to the grate, and Death in the West straightens out as he kind of like uses the butt of the scythe to like kind of like jam it through one of the holes to see what it does.
All
Nothing
right.
like just testing the waters. Just
Yeah, you can get a little bit of leverage underneath the grate.
and looks back at Roderick to see if there's any change in his pantomimery.
He just fucking gives you a shrug.
All right. Well, with this leverage, Cecil attempts to like ding the grate open, like just whoop, to see if it's like held together with nothing but shit.
So you do, and it comes up. But the grate is part of a larger mechanism where it looks like the grate. I'm going to draw this out. So you have the room you're in.
Yes.
This is the grate. Right?
Yes.
Now I'm going to show you the vertical view of this grate. This is the opening. You know, this is what Cecil just pulled up. It
Yes.
comes down, and it has an opening on this side, and an opening on this side, because it's like a tube for a ventilation system.
Okay.
And it's flat and sheer on this side. But when you pull it up, this entire thing comes up with it. So you're breaking the quote-unquote circuit for the vent.
Okay.
And the thing that the back of the vent is blocking is no longer blocked, and all of a sudden some more light and a great amount of heat comes up through it.
Like a dangerous amount of heat, or like
a dangerous amount of heat that it might hurt you to touch what's giving it off, but from your current vantage, it's like the temperature of. It's not.
it's like
hot,
putting your hand over a grill.
not even that hot. Or rather, it's like yeah, sure, just hand over a grill, that works.
Cecil looks back at Roderick with like open eyes.
He nods, as if to say yes. That was what I was referencing earlier.
Do you know what it is?
Do I know what is?
That what the heat.
What heat? What are you talking about? He kind of like
Come over here.
He slices a hand across his neck, and he's just like ixnay, ixnay.
Oh yeah, you're right. This is a dank, cold hellscape. I cannot see a thing.
Yeah, what a horrible little concrete room we're in.
I feel so deathly helpless. Aghast, cursed beings that put me here. But do you know what the heat is?
He sighs and he moves over and he like does his best to look down, and then he sticks his head down like beyond the grate and looks over through one of the directions where the vents go, and he like points at it while looking up in your direction.
Insight?
Go ahead.
Because I don't know what he means. I clicked the 15.
So you got the grate open, and it doesn't look like he actually knows what the heat is. It looks like you opened it in a way it hadn't been opened before, and he had been taken that way down the vent.
Is the heat directional, or is it just the whole vent?
So, more drawing. You have the grate, then you have the vent that's right underneath the grate, then you have the plating that got taken off when you put the grate up. The heat is coming up through where the plating was. The vent itself is cold.
So, would it be possible to go through that and get to either side of the vent?
Yeah, you can go into the vent passage that you've essentially broken the circuit for by taking the whole grate mechanism out.
Great.
Pun intended?
Pun intended.
All right. Pun intended means you start going through the grate. Are you trying to get Roderick to go with you?
No. Roderick has nothing to do with this. If Roderick came, that would look like assisted breakthrough, and I don't want to get Roderick in trouble.
All right.
So yeah, Cecil starts to head through. It's Roderick's choice if he follows. But yeah,
So-
Cecil's headed.
So
Cecil's heading out.
as you get down into it, it's probably like 4 or 5 feet high. So you only have to like crouch a little bit to walk. You don't have to like
Ventilation systems make hella noise. Do I have to roll stealth?
ventilation systems make hella noise when they're made out of ventilation systems. This is, as far as you know, it got appropriated into a ventilation system when this place was like taken over.
Oh,
Like this is
Okay.
just a stone corridor with a lot of air coming through it.
okay. Great. So never mind then. Cecil's just heading out. Cecil's just going.
So as you
Awesome.
as you start moving, you come upon a crossroads, and a, one of the people in the big white billowy robes is like all of their robes are bunched up, and they're hunched over a whole lot because they're a lot taller, and they're coming towards you. The intersection is like the corridor you're on, continuing slightly diagonally forward, and that's where they're coming from. They haven't noticed you yet, by the way. And then there's a left turn that ends after like 3 feet. It's like barely a nook.
I see. So, one second. I need to go to the washroom. Maybe switch over to someone for a
No
sec.
problem. Let's go to Amalia. So Amalia. And
I have to use the bathroom too, so.
perfect. Amalia and Virgil.
Oh, goody.
So just as a further question, what do you consider is necessary for the purposes of familiar or sending?
You need to have met them.
Can someone describe someone in enough detail that I could then use sending on?
No.
Okay.
So, giant rock scorpion?
Right, yeah. Roll initiative.
Okay!
It has higher dex. Just kidding. You go first. Big ol' horrible scorpion monsters coming at you.
I'm gonna start running the ever-loving hell away.
Alright, so, roll acrobatics, I guess.
Yes.
Oh, you rolled. My bad. So you're basically spend like 10 minutes trying to get away from this thing. You're doing your best to climb up big ass salt flat dunes. Um, and it seems like you're just barely staying ahead of it. When all of a sudden, as you're running, while you're not really paying attention to what you're seeing, reality starts creeping back up on you, and Amalia, in front of you, during one of the times that you're awake because you're abusing sending, the stony form of Virgil kind of fragments and the surface chips off, revealing regular Virgil underneath. And Virgil, you just kind of like fall to your knees, exhausted.
What the fuck was that?
I have no idea, but from intellectual standpoint, absolutely fascinating.
You want to fucking do it? Don't know how. Something about this bullshit. I gotta get to Eden. Amalia, knock me out.
Amalia has been punching herself in and out of consciousness for the last 10 minutes. It looked like.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna take 11 bludgeoning damage.
I mean, when we go, wouldn't it be healed every time she pops back up anyways? The rules of 2 dimensions.
So Amalia's just like, listen, the reason I was knocking myself out was because I needed to get quickly. Just take a nap.
It'll be hard. Fine. Wait, no, I've got some fucking sleepy time, don't I? Doctor privileges. If he doesn't answer, I'll scream. See you in a bit.
You don't want to tell to Amalia, like, in greater detail now that, eliminated by 25 words.
I mean, he will, but that's currently not his. He wants to fucking get into Eden, figure out what the hell from the ice golem, because since he's all knowing, then he'll talk to her about it. But he wants answers, and since that thing's a fucking thing, he's hoping that it'll give it to him.
Alright, so you knock yourself out, and you wake up on a gear, or some brass plating somewhere, and what do?
Well, the first thing is to look at the corkscrew scar.
Yeah, it looks the fuse has gone down considerably.
Okay. Not that you've ever answered before, but please answer right now. Something just happened. I don't know what. I want answers.
Nothing.
Come on, you motherfucking... He starts spewing
God
profanities.
fucking damn it. I knew I was forgetting something.
What?
Oh my god.
What were you forgetting?
Oh,
What do we need to
no.
fix?
I knew this felt fragmented for some reason.
What's up?
You can't eat and abuse because when someone goes to Eden, it pulls everyone to Eden.
So rewind.
Oh, I guess it does, doesn't it?
Yes.
Does it?
Yeah, it always has.
Yeah, it always did. It always did.
So they're just
So
like,
how do we deal with this?
So there are
With-
just like
We
10
didn't spend.
balls of ethers.
I think I have to go back to you talking to the dudes in the salt flats because that wouldn't have. Fuck. I gave Stuart the benefit of the doubt with the sending thing. It shouldn't work. Like, so what would have happened is Amalia would have knocked herself out and gone to Eden. It would have pulled everybody except for Virgil into Eden. Yeah.
Also, sorry I am late.
No problem.
Hey, Art.
Shit. Fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna ask you guys. How do you want to handle this?
I
Well, we
feel like
already have a precedent of retcon.
Yeah, roll back.
feel like-
Roll it back.
I feel like we can bullshit this somehow.
I think you think
Well,
we can bullshit
let's-
this somehow because you want to keep your sending abuse.
No, I
Okay, hold up.
I
let's-
think we can. Hang on. I think we can bullshit somehow so that these conversations are able to happen, but they can't be repeated in future.
Well, what do you have in the Fabry universe that restores spell slots normally? Other than resting.
You're right. You're right. Dirt Scritch.
Let-
Dirt Scritch has an
Let's see.
ether that's never gonna show up for the rest of the campaign.
Well, let's say the role realized she was tapping and now she's exhausted.
Sure. Yeah. That works.
So,
So yeah, you're not in Eden. We're rewinding. We're rollbacking to right before you knock yourself out, Virgil. You know
It
that
will still hurt.
you know that you're going to. You still take 11 damage, Amalia, for my brain cells. Do you still want to go to Eden, knowing that it's going to pull everyone in?
he really wants those fucking answers, so he will.
Even knowing Catherine and Cecil might be in dire straits here, like putting them to sleep in the middle of what they're doing is potentially very dangerous when they're in enemy territory.
Well, I thought it doesn't matter. We might arrive at different times, but we all experience it as being there at the same time.
Wait, is that fuck? That might have been how it was. Oh my god, I can't get my own rules right.
I know that when Cecil yeeted himself into oblivion, he got to wake up earlier than everyone else.
Yeah, but
But-
that's different.
Yeah, I do recall when we were first pulled back into the dream, everyone fell asleep at about a 5-minute mark within each other.
Okay, no, I figured it out. I know what I'm gonna do. You can knock yourself out. It's Amalia.
Okay.
Amalia and Albus are technically part of the scene, so they'll go with you. But I'm still gonna throw Cecil and Catherine in, but I'm gonna make sure that I do it at inopportune times. So go ahead.
Hmm.
You go in.
Yeah, Virgil wants those fucking answers.
Boom! You wake up on the
Even
grass, and you do the thing that hasn't worked consistently, and it continues to consistently
to
fail.
not work consistently. What a shock. I swear I need to get a sending stone after you, you piece of freezer burn!
Or you could learn to cast magic. No? A wizard.
If you ever meet him, I swear I'll fucking pay you if I have to. But when you meet him, so much will be fucking better. So much.
All right.
So much.
So you guys are here, and you sit down, and do you exchange all of the information with each other?
Yeah.
Thank fucking God. Great. Both of you roll insight. You too, Albus. You can roll insight as well.
Roll for me.
No problem. $16. Amalia. The important thing to you ceases to be the familiar terms that were talked about. It is possible that their Haldorman and your Haldorman was different, even if it's, you're not sure how likely it is, but basically, don't try to draw correlation where there isn't any clear causation. However, one term they did use that wasn't really brought up was paragons.
Oh yeah, do I know?
You do know what paragons are, and you know that they're important, but the thing is, they asked if you were sent by one of their paragons.
So Amalia's gonna look at Virgil. And like, you really not know what a paragon is?
Virgil shakes his head.
You too well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you know what the use of a fucking kidney is? I studied medicine. You studied history. It's fine.
I do know what the use of a kidney is.
It was the point behind it.
A bad one. Anyway. A paragon is kind of like the embodiment of a plane. So if you have the plane of fire, it has a paragon that embodies the entire plane. We had to have. I'm unclear on that. We may have. They don't actually have one, do they?
What?
Like the material, the realm they're in right there does not have one.
No.
Enkidu's dead.
Something would have had to replace him. In order for a plane to exist, it has to have a paragon.
Right. So there is one somewhere.
So these paragons are the embodiment of of a plane. Okay. Do you think Eden counts as a plane in and of itself?
Yeah, probably.
So theoretically, we could get rid of all of this in one fell swoop if we just found the paragon that made it all, and would probably be rather difficult. So they asked if a paragon had sent me, what even caused that? It was definitely magic, so what's your best guess, wizard?
Alright, so the pinnacle of temporal magic, as far as humans consume, is making time stop. Going backwards or traveling backwards. He throws up her hand and shrugs. Presumably there's no point in rolling on that because there's nothing remotely related to traveling in time.
Roll insight.
Sure.
Aha!
Holy shit.
Great time to crit. Yeah, traveling back in time doesn't make sense at all. Unless, wait a minute, no, this would work really well. Unless something was just showing you a memory.
could be mental time travel. Something showing you a memory of something that happened, and you were able to physically interact with it. That's why I was able to use sending on you, because you hadn't physically went back in time. And it's also why the time stream isn't horribly ruined. Or if it is, then
If we all turn into rock lamias when we wake up, we'll know why.
So the memory theory definitely holds up until you start thinking about the direct interaction you were able to have with the things there, but you know, whatever. Hand waving, hand waving. You hear the movement and crinkle of metal on metal as a very tall, lithe figure moves out from behind a brass gear and says, "Very apt." Virgil, this is Razorface, and he folds his arms and looks down at the both of you before coming over to join your little brainstorming circle. And he sits probably like 4 or 5 feet away, but he sits, and he says, "It seems you're staying more spiritually active than I expected you to."
Well, to be honest, I wanted a question answered, and he never does, but one day it'll work. Okay, so how much of that did you hear?
Razorface's head slowly cocks to the side and says, "We'll get to that." And he looks at you, Amalia.
Fine.
sorry, who is your friend here?
This is Razorface. He's basically a reclamation officer / assassin guy. I don't know what he's doing here. I'm tired.
I think you do know what I'm doing here, Virgil.
I
Your
see.
friend here sold you out, little true namer.
1 second. Her face like curls slightly, but she does not break out into obvious laughter.
You know,
Virgil,
she's not who you were looking for before all of this.
Virgil, do you ever wonder why so many people try and kill you?
No, I've got it pretty much down pat by now.
Clearly not. Alright, so Virgil.
I didn't want him killing me.
What was that, Stuart?
Alright, so Virgil sold me out. So what? What's your aim here?
Well, tracking you down in Eden is a very different thing than tracking you down in Jericho. However, it is something. I'm just privy enough with things to know that should I successfully, you know, scoot you off that edge over there, my aims will not be properly met with. You see the mask over his face just kind of like warp and contort in a way that makes it obvious he's smiling behind it.
Oh, so you're aiming. So you're not here to capture me, you're here to kill me. That's interesting.
Well, no, I'm not here to kill you, as it happens out. I was here out of chance in Eden.
Oh no, I don't mean physically killing you here. I mean you're in Jericho.
I'm going. Yes, correct. Same page. As for your friend, you came looking for answers from one that will not give them. But I know some things.
That does seem like a big waste to just up and kill me.
I'm sure
I
you'll
mean-
understand when the time comes. What was your
Because-
question, Virgil?
If we can come to some sort of understanding and cooperation, that would be nice. But no. Did you hear any of that? I'll reiterate it again if you want me to. Because I am open to any fucking help I can get. I have to be
I
honest.
mean, yes, it sounds like you had some sort of exposure to the West Indians.
That is what they called themselves. I don't know how it happened.
He just kind of
She
like
says,
points a long finger at the forearm with your corkscrew scar, and he's like, I think you know exactly how it happened. You just don't know the
more intricate values of it, yes.
Would you like me to tell you the answers, or would you like me to teasingly dance on the edge of the answers and let you form your own?
You know, it's been a very long day. Just fucking feed it to me. I'm confused. I just want answers. That's all I fucking want.
Well, dear small Virgil, the West Indians lived little over 2,000 years ago.
Holy shit.
Or was it less than that? I'll have to brush up on the specifics. However, they were the first of any civilization capable of causing their last vestiges to live on through the cyclical destruction at the hands of the Anastasic monarchs. Them being the first obviously does not make them the most successful. In a way, they were the least successful, the only civilization that managed to create something that nobody had found. No survivors, only ruins. At least up until a few odd centuries ago. And then more colloquially uncloaked in the past few decades. The ruins that Nazareth is built upon, they are Vestindian ruins. True naming, the thing that I am going to have to kill your friend here for knowing that
Or
he's-
maybe not. Yeah, let me hope.
You really think I can be dissuaded?
Well, I'm not so certain about dissuaded, but maybe some sort of mutual agreement or the other. I don't know. Please keep going.
So,
We can talk business after.
Well, just let me ask you. You didn't find it a little strange that they could immediately understand everything you were saying? You didn't find it strange that it seemed more like they were referencing your words to their concepts as they were words of their own?
I did see them literally pull the words out of my mouth and make symbols. It was actually very fascinating.
he has a distinct lack of curiosity.
I'm seeing that, and I am regretting that it seems the one between the two of you that I have to kill is the more entertaining one. That said,
I have my own curiosity. It's just not about history.
it's not as if you don't have some time before you, little wizard. What about your questions?
Yeah. So, if I'm grasping this correctly, they were able to see Harv and Megiddo coming, made arrangements to try and get some of their stuff to survive into the future. What's this about them making paragons, though? multiple in the sense of it. Are those distinctly different from the ones we have just now?
You will recollect that they have some relationship to Haldorman.
Yeah.
Haldorman and his siblings were not always dragons. They became the first. Before that, they were vestigial life given form. The absolute primordial mind. Parthen and Megiddo, the Anastasic monarchs, they are more a representation of forces of nature than things with minds to speak of. Now, I'm a little less brushed up on my history with those three. However, I do know that the civilization we have come to speak of, the Vestindians, they were notified of how to protect themselves from the Anastasic monarchs using the means that Haldorman and his siblings used themselves. Such means are very macabre, very morbid. Are you familiar with the details?
Am I familiar with the details?
You are not familiar with the details.
Not particularly, no. I think that bit got excised from the books.
Namely, you must accrue a great amount of life energy and use it as a blinder. You must build your people's consciousnesses into walls so that some remaining few will be overlooked. This was inabitable. This was not something that the Vestindians could reconcile themselves with doing, for they were not a society as much as they were a hive mind. A hive mind that had grown so intelligent that each of its little cells was capable of developing a personality. No, they chose to attempt to recreate reality in a negative space. They attempted to turn reality into a binary relationship. Do you see what I'm getting at?
That would explain why there's a relationship between this plane and our. So they.
Razorface reaches out and he knocks twice on the brass plating underneath you and he says, "This is Vestindian."
What about the things that are already here? Were they here first, or?
That's a good question. Ask them. I've never elected to. And he stands up and gives a very slight bow in your three's direction. That said, I believe your coordinates here have given me enough to go on in the real world, so until we meet again.
Just one thing before you go. Your interest in me dying, personal or professional?
I will admit, it is more of a professional thing, but I am one who takes his work life personally.
Wow, that doesn't make any sense, because from the way you're putting it, it sounds like I'm the most valuable thing here.
You're the most... You have the most potential energy, and it would do me a lot of good to make sure that you aren't pushed off the cliff.
Aren't you the one who's going to push her off the cliff?
He looks at you, Virgil, and says, "No, I have to protect the people at the bottom."
Ah. Ah. Aha.
Is this analogy not getting through?
No, no. Basically, you kind of view her as a ticking time bomb, and if you remove her, then you get to protect the people that you need to protect.
Wow, you're good at this. If only there was
What if
some
you were to... Go on.
If only there was some method of just forcing someone to forget things. Oh, wouldn't we be out of this pickle we're in? It's really just so unfortunate. He takes a gadget off of his belt, drops it on the floor, and it creates this swirling green gate. And he just kind of plunges in, and it closes behind him.
Is the gadget still there?
Nope.
No, gadget fell too.
It's like he jumped through a hula hoop and pulled the hula hoop after him.
With him? Yeah, that's what I thought. So, if he sees you as a vessel for destruction, why not find proper funnels through it? Then that would surely remove his problem with you.
So,
I
Amalia,
don't know.
this gives you a little bit of perspective on some things that Mr. Truthsayer had told you, warned you about. That true naming is very confidential, and it sort of makes sense now that you've come face to face with basically the people that keep the loose ends tied up. So you know that Mr. Truthsayer he explicitly is an Elusian that got the hell out of Dodge. And something tells you you were not this guy's original mark. Your mentor is. However, him immediately coming out of the gate with like, "Oh great, I found you, I can kill you," kind of tells you that he doesn't need to use you for information, which means he probably already knows the whereabouts or how to get to Mr. Truthsayer, or already has. You're not sure.
Mm-hmm.
As for explicitly what you are, ticking time bomb is a decent analogy, but you're just not supposed to know the things you do.
So he, by process of deduction, he works for the.
You're Edward Snowden, and he's Hillary Clinton's assassin.
Yeah, no, not to piss off Hillary.
It's a bad idea. That said, it is 9:45, so I'm gonna stop the recording, and we can fucking.
I don't know. I feel like it should probably.